Hi everybody, hi people, all my followers, welcome to another one of my videos. And this video today is on a 2004 Citroën C3 with the 1.4 liter HDI engine, so it's a diesel. And this car came to me. As you can see, the engine is running and the engine light is on, and the car is in limp mode. So if I press the throttle down, which I'm going to show you, so throttle down, the engine doesn't rev more than just a little bit over 2,500 RPMs. And obviously when you drive the car, it does exactly the same. Also, sometimes it's a little bit hard to start the engine. Sometimes you need to be here insisting a little bit of the time until the engine actually starts. So that's another issue, which probably is caused by the same problem. But what I've been told that the car had was the seals, the injector seals, leaking. So I believe it was the washers at the bottom, in between the engine block or the engine head and the injector. Those were replaced, but obviously the car is still in limp mode. I don't know if the car was in limp mode before or not, but I know what I've been told is the car was leaking there. That has been repaired, and now the car is in limp mode with the engine light on. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to scan the car. So that's a Siemens 804, and the engine is the HX. Okay, so let's gonna have a look at the codes. Okay, there's only one code actually, as a permanent fault, and it says fuel pressure signal, pressure coherence. Okay, so fuel pressure. Let's go back. Let's gonna have a look at the live data, see what this sensor is doing. Wrong selection. Okay, so the reference, which is, let's gonna do this top. Okay, so the reference is the one at the top, the measured is the one at the bottom, the one straight after. So which means that this pressure here, it should always follow the one that is highlighted. That's the way it should work. Okay, let's gonna do a graphic merge. Reference, let's gonna go to the measured. Now the measured. Okay, so these two lines, they should follow each other pretty much all the time. Whoa. Why is the reference? Okay, that's going there now. So we have a few spikes in there. Okay, so when you look at that, there's a spike here that has not been asked. Then that one in there match, that one is okay. Then there's another one here that doesn't match. It's gonna continue. Some more here again. Just 2 spikes, but well, I don't really know how much quick the DS708 is acquiring this data, so I don't know if I can trust this data. So once again here, he asked in there but was nothing. Then he followed perfectly that one. Then that one, it should be probably that one, but didn't reach. And those pressures there, they never reached in there. But well, we have a problem here because we don't know now if this is the true readings, if it's a false reading coming from the sensor, or if it's the pump that is not actually giving these pressures. Okay. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to possibly measure the sensor itself, see if the sensor is working correctly, and if it is, then we might gonna have a different problem. Stop the engine. The engine is not starting now, but one of the things that is a little bit weird is that if you look in there on the pressure measured, is reading 78 bars when there's nothing there. So I'm gonna crank the engine, see if it reads. Sometimes it doesn't read. Look, measured, it's now moving from 78. The regulator is working according to the live data in there. Crank again. Actually, nothing now. See, it's still reading 78. So, is the pump actually not giving the pressure, or is the sensor not reading? So, I think we're gonna have to get our hands dirty and start to dig into the engine. Into the engine bay. Okay, so this section of the video now is about 6 days later. I've worked on the car in the meantime, but due to the weather conditions, you know, we had a little storm yesterday and everything, raining and stuff like that. I couldn't really record as such, but this car has been literally making my head in. So I was a little bit reluctant if I should or not carry on now recording and do something with this video. But I thought I can provide some good information still, and I thought, you know, it might be that this will help someone. So the car is fixed now. It's still all in bits in there, but it's fixed now. I'm going to show you. The engine light's still on. I didn't clear the light to show you something, but as you're going to see, it's going to rev fine. Okay, so the car is not in limp mode anymore, okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is going to show you exactly what happened. I'm going to start to open Lexia in the meantime. So there's a sensor in there now, and I have two here. And I'll tell you what happened. The first thing I've done, I'm going to turn this so I can actually show you a little bit as well of that. So basically what happened is I still have the oscilloscope set to what I was testing. So the first thing I've done, I think I've ended the video saying I'll be doing some digging under the wood, which I did. And the first thing I've done was measure the wiring from the sensor all the way back to the ECU. All the wires revealed fine. I took the opportunity anyway just to give a good cleaning on the plugs and stuff like that, but everything was good in there. Then my next step was measure the sensor. Okay, now I'm gonna leave a link in the description below for a sensor, for a video that I've done testing a sensor on a Scenic. So the principle is exactly the same, just the wires, the pins and where you're going to measure is slightly different. So the signal wire on this sensor is different than the one on that Scenic, but the principle of the measuring is exactly the same, and that was my next step. So let me see which is the sensor that was in the car. So they are the same, but this was the sensor that was in the car. Okay, now this is a 3-pin sensor. And you have one pin is going to be ground, the other pin is going to be 5 volts reference or voltage reference, and the other pin is going to be the signal back to the ECU. If you're going to watch that video for the Scenic, you're going to see that the signal wire on that sensor is the middle wire. Here is slightly different. So I have the diagrams here, and I'm going to point you down to where everything is. I'm going to use this pen. So this is the module, the engine module, and the sensor we are looking for is this sensor here, 1321. So as you can see, it's quite well explained. So fuel, and P for pressure, and there he is. Okay, so 3 pins, 1, 2 and 3, and you can see they are marked in there as well. Pin number 3 is going to be the voltage, pin number 2 is going to be the ground, and pin number 1 is the signal, and pin number 2 obviously is going to be the middle pin. So as you can see, this is slightly different than the sensor that's going to be on the video on the description below, but the principle of the measurement is the same. Ignition on, engine off, you should have 0.5 volts reference from there, and obviously from there is just escalates to what the pressure has been achieved and requested. So pin number 2 and 3, pin number 1 comes to the 32 pin gray plug in the engine control module, and it's going to go to pin B2. So pin B2 is going to be our signal. Pin number 2, ground, is going to be pin B3, and then the 5 volts reference is going to go to a different plug, which is the 48 pins maroon brown plug, and is the pin D1. Okay, just as a curiosity, you can see these numbers. This is the wire numbers. You can see on the sensor they have different numbers. It doesn't show here. Oh, sorry about it. It doesn't show here, but you have on this engine, you have a plug right under the air filter housing. So if you remove the air filter housing, you're going to see there's a round plug on the top right hand side engine. Right on the top, there's a plug in there. So that's why the wires are changing. If we look in here on another diagram, we can see that plug, and that's the plug. This drawing might be a little bit more tricky, complicated to read, but so this is the engine control module. This is all the pins coming off, all the wires here and there, and our what was the sensor? 1321. That is our sensor. Let's gonna look for our 1321 sensor here. I know where it is, obviously, and there it is. Focus. 1321, 3 pins, and if you look, these pins, they're gonna come into this loom here, and it comes straight into these 34 pins. This is a plug, and you can see, for example, if we go for example, the signal wire ME133 on this side is the same wire, obviously, but then this ME133 changed to 6773. So if you're gonna go and then all the way back, so if you're gonna go to there now, you're gonna see that our wire signal changed to 6773 on the ECU itself. It's a different wire. That's because of that plug. So we know how to measure the sensor now between ground and signal, and the first thing I've done was measure the original sensor. This sensor was stuck at 0.8 volts. If you remember, on the diagnostics machine we were getting about 78 or 75 bars of pressure just with ignition on, and the engine wouldn't start, if you remember that. That's why, because that zero bars of pressure should read 0.5 volts. So 0.8 was already showing some pressure, and this sensor is stuck at 0.8. So I've checked. I'm going to show you later how everything is set up in there. Still, I was using the oscilloscope at the time. I have now my multimeter, but same principle. Obviously that gives us a little bit of better understanding, but updates quicker, but that will be enough for what we're doing here now. So yeah, so that was stuck at 0.8. When I put the oscilloscope on it, it would read, obviously, I still have the oscilloscope set to that, so 2 volt scale, 500 milliseconds, so each square is 2 volts. So to read 0.5 volts should be just a little bit above there. But when you crank the engine, and I have the readings here as well, but when you start the engine, obviously, that should jump to, I would say, about 1.2, 1.3 volts. So that should go a little bit above. When I managed to start the engine, the voltage would still read 0.8, but every now and then you'd see it spike. It was very, very rarely, but you could see a spike on that, and that was on the original sensor. Okay, so at this point I thought, okay, the sensor is faulty. I've ordered another sensor, which is here. As you can see, there's 2 sensors. This one is even engraved by the seller. You can see in there. And I put this sensor, put everything back on, obviously, convinced it would resolve the problem. And guess what? Same problem. Start the engine, limp mode. Exactly the same problem. But the code changed. The code changed from P1164, I think it was, for fuel pressure currents or whatever that was, and it changed to sensor short to voltage or open circuit. And when I check the freeze frame, where it tells me all the info, the status of the engine at the time of the occurrence of the fault, and was showing me 1700 and something bars, which obviously is full pressure. When I went to measure the sensor exactly the same way as I've done with the original one, was reading 5 volts, constantly 5 volts. It wouldn't change. Ignition on, engine running, would read 5 volts. Curiosity is, this engine actually starts even if I unplug the sensor. Runs in limp mode, obviously, but it runs. Some engines, they don't run. It's curious that runs with a faulty sensor. So yeah, it's reading 5 volts constantly. At this point, I thought, I'm gonna make this a brand new sensor, you know. At this, when you get a brand new part, you fit a brand new part, and it doesn't fix the problem. You have 2 things: or you are very sure of what you are doing, and you know exactly how things work, and you can go back and say, no, this sensor is faulty, although it's brand new, it's faulty. Or it's gonna, if you're not 100% sure of what you are doing, it's gonna puzzle you, because you're thinking, on a minute, so my problem might be someone else. But no, I was 100% convinced. I've done all the measures again, and I was convinced this sensor is short to plus. hence it's giving me a signal of constant 5 volts. So I bought another sensor, which is the sensor that is on the engine now. As you have seen, the engine is not in limp mode anymore. So yeah, it was a long story, just to explain you how I did and what happened, but yeah, that was a funny week, to be fair with you. And what I'm going to show you now is I'm going to try to show you. I hope the codes are still in there for the, I don't know which one. I don't know when I've deleted the faults last, so I don't know which codes are going to be there, to be fair with you. But we hope. It's not that. It's not that. Oh dear. Okay, he's finished his scan to this power unit thing, so we're gonna go to the injection now. Yes, it is. Okay, no problem. Okay, so the faults here is the fault from the old sensor, from the original sensor. I don't have the faults here. I thought they would be here. I don't have the fault, but just as one thing, let's gonna have a look still on this fault here. So as you can see, that was the original sensor, okay? As you can see, at 0 RPMs, so that was P1164, at 0 RPMs was showing 106 bars. And the engine was asking for 0, so that's why it was stuck at 0.8 volts, whatever that was. So that was roughly the pressure that was reading all the time. Let's see. I think, I don't know if it's gonna be there under history. No, it's not. No, I thought it would be something here, but no. I'm not going to be able to show you the other faults. The one that was showing the full pressure all the time, because I have the lead time in the meantime. But yeah, that was the problem. So let's just gonna have a look, see what readings we have from this here now. So as you can see, if you go back on the video, you're gonna see, because the car was on limp mode, the request from the ECU was 345 bars all the time, and that was so basically the ECU kind of controls the pressure in a safe way just for the car to run. So hopefully now we'll have a obviously we have a response now from the sensor. No limp mode anymore. Just gonna delete the faults now. Come on. there are no more faults. Great stuff. Nope. So let's gonna start the engine again. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see, but no more engine light. And what I'm going to show you now very quick is how I've connect first the oscilloscope, but now just the multimeter. I'm going to show you first with the ignition on, and we're going to have a reading of 0.5 volts. Okay, so this is the pins. Is where I don't want to short nothing there, so but that's where everything's connected. So the blue needle is the signal wire, the red is the ground, and that one in there is the 5 volts. We don't really need the 5 volts, so I just have the multimeter connected to the ground and signal. Ignition is on. Let me turn this on. And as you can see, we have 0.5 volts. Now I'm going to start the engine, and we should have about 1.2. .9. 0.9. Was about 1.1, 1.2 earlier. And one last thing I want to show you is how to get to the sensor. Okay, to get to the sensor, you remove the battery and all these around, and you can get to it right under there with a socket. Just unplug it, put it through, undo, and that will come off. And that's how you get to the sensor. The sensor is right underneath there. You need to go under these looms here to get to it. There's a little bit of a pain in the ass, but you can get to it. Okay, so that's how you remove it. You need to take all that area off, because the common rail is right at the back under the engine. Is really tricky to get to it. But that's it. The problem is resolved now. I know there's a lot of talking over the last 20 minutes, but I want to make sure I'll take you through the whole process. And I think the main lesson, if that can be called, from this work, even for myself, is it was the brand new sensor. You need to know exactly what you're looking for to make sure. You can go back and say, well, look, the sensor you sent me is actually faulty as well, which I did as well. They were not very happy when I told them that. They start to ask a lot of questions about part numbers, about this, about the other. About saying about who checked the car, and was a lot of email exchange until they accept that I'm going to send the sensor back. They're still saying they're going to test the sensor before they issue a refund. But yeah, that's it. I think the main lesson is you need to know exactly what you're looking for to be able to, because like I said earlier, you get a brand new part, put it in, doesn't resolve the problem, one of the two, or there's a problem somewhere, or the part that came is faulty, and you need to make sure you know exactly what you are measuring and what you are looking for to establish that a brand new part is actually faulty as well. Guys, I don't even know what's going to be the outcome of this video. Well, not what's going to be the outcome. I don't know how you're going to take this video, guys. I hope in the end, I made this video to make some sense. I hope I'm share some good information to you guys, and I really hope you enjoyed the video. Any questions, comments, suggestions, put them below. I will do my best to answer them. And like always, thank you for watching.